So this lesson we start with object-oriented programming in Java language. And the agenda of this lesson is to have the introduction to object-oriented programming and also about the class and object. So what is this object-oriented programming? So it is a programming paradigm. Is nothing but how we can develop an application. So my requirement is I want to develop a project, a banking project. So what methodology which I am using? So it may be either procedure oriented programming, POP, it can be object oriented programming, OOP, or it can be aspect oriented programming, AOP. So any program if you talk about, every program may contain mainly two parts. One is data and the other one is function or method. So this procedure oriented programming is based on data as well as function, but the data and the functions are treated separately. That's what procedural oriented programming. So procedural programming is about writing procedures or methods that perform operations on the data. So data is one part and method is another part. It is treated separately. Whereas in object-oriented programming, it is about creating objects. From the name itself, we can understand object-oriented programming. This type of programming is purely based on object. So it is working with the data and methods together. It contains both the data and the methods. Whereas procedural-oriented program, so data is one part, method or function is another part. So if you're having a global variable, you consider a C programming language. When you write a C program, that C program may have global variables. So that global variables can be accessed by all the functions. Because data is separate, function is separate. So that data can be accessed by all the functions. There is no security for data. And so many lines of code you need to write. And this object-oriented programming is a programming paradigm based on the concept of objects, which can contain the data in the form of fields often called as properties or attributes, or we call it as member data, and the code in the form of method. And this object-oriented programming is purely, it is based on class and objects. So object-oriented programming have got so many other features, principles like inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction. But mainly object-oriented programming is based on two things. One is class and another is object. So what is a class in object-oriented programming? A class is a concept, or class is a blueprint using which an object can be created. So what is a concept? For example, if I ask you, what is a car? When we say what is a car, we know that every car have got a registration number. Car has got an engine number. A car has got a model. So to 2020 model, 2018 model, which model is that? Car has got color. Fuel, petrol or diesel is required. So clutch, brake, accelerator. So these are all the properties of a car. That is what we talk about a concept. So what is a car? So we know car has got these properties like registration number, engine number, model, color, clutch, brake, accelerator. These are all the items. And also a car have got different functions. So we are able to start the car. We are able to accelerate the car. We can reverse the car. So these are all the functionalities. Now, for example, you see starting a car, a function, a method, or accelerating a car, or reversing a car. To perform any of this operation, what is required? An item is required. Which item? One item, petrol or diesel is required. So a class is a concept. A concept contains items and functionality, and each functionality of an item is using a particular property or particular properties. So an item of a concept is used by performing a particular function. A class is something like that. A fan, a computer. So whatever things are there in the real world, if you talk about, it has got only two parts. One is the items of that, and the other one is functionalities of that. But coming to a programming language like Java, a class is a user-defined data type. In Java, we have got 8 primitive data types like byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. These are the 8 primitive data types of Java. But if I want to develop a MIS project, management information project, I need to store the employee details. So I need to have some employee. So we know that every employee have got employee number, name of the employee, designation of the employee, salary of the employee, address of the employee, etc. Number of dependents, the PAN card details, social security number, bank details, blood group, all these properties will come for an employee. But this type of data is not available in Java. So Java has got 8 primitive data types, but we want to create our own data type of type employee. With this employee number, name, designation, salary, address, and some methods. Or suppose if you want to develop a banking project. So in a banking project, what type of data is required? Different type of data is required, but mainly we require account type data. So that account type data, what all things basically it comes? Every bank account have got an account number, the name of the account holder, balance amount. It is not that contact number, email ID, address of the person, gender of the person, all that things will come. But in our example, we take account number, name of the account holder, and the balance amount. And what are the functionalities? We are able to withdraw the amount from my account. We are able to deposit the amount. So the balance amount is being affected. So withdraw or deposit function is using the amount, balance amount. So this is what we talk about a class. So class is a user-defined data type. Java have got primitive data types, but to develop an application, to develop a project, we need to have our own data type, like employee, like bank account, like a ticket. So we develop a ticketing application, a flight ticket application. So ticket have got PNR number, the name of the passenger, date of travel, time of travel, from which airport to which airport, which flight, all these properties comes, and it has got the functionalities also. Now when you talk about an object, we've seen an employee. So we created an employee type data, that is what class. Now I am an employee. So my name is Sunil. I have got my own employee number. I have got my own salary. I have got my own designation. So I am an employee type. So what is an object? An object is the real instance or living instance of a class. An object is created from the definition of a class. A class is a blueprint from which individual objects are created. So we discussed about a car. When you see a real car on the road, if you see a real car, we can say that car, that particular thing, this is a car. We say that if I ask you by pointing to a real car, if I ask you what is this, you say this is a car. Why we are saying that this is a car? Because it has got all the properties of car type. Car, we know what are all the properties it has got, what all functionality, everything is available on that physical thing. So we say this is a car. We can have any number of objects also. Now when you see an employee, we know employee number, employee name, designation, salary, address. So we can create multiple objects. For example, you see, so 4 people. So this is employee 1. The other person is employee 2. The same way, other 2 employees. So EMP1, EMP2, EMP3 and EMP4 we call as objects. What type of object they are? They are all type of employee type object. because every employee have got their own employee number, employee name, designation, salary, address. Each person have got their own thing. These are all real employees. So this person, the first employee have got his own employee number. The first person have got his own name, his own designation, his own salary, his own address. This is what we talk about an object. As a syntax, when you see how to create a class is created by using the keyword class followed by the class name. Inside this block, a class may contain properties or attributes or member data, any name, and also it has got functionality. And how to create an object, or it's not that only this. A class may contain fields, that's nothing but properties or attributes or member data, methods, but in a real class we can have constructors. Class can have block, a static block, or it can have initialization block. We see that. And a class may contain other class. A class may contain some inner interfaces also. That's called as nested class or nested interface. A class can be defined inside another class. All these things may come inside a class. Then to create an object, new keyword is used for creating an object. I want to create one employee. So new, what type of object? Employee type object. So new object type. That is what the object. And it is identified with a reference. So object type, object reference is equal to new object type. As an example, new employee is the object. And its reference is employee EMP to identify that object. So I am an object, I have got my own employee number, my own official name, my own address, I have got my designation, salary, all that things I have. But I am identified with my name. That name is nothing but the reference, the pointer to its memory. So when you see the physical structure of that, so one example, when you see employee have got EMPNO, employee number, integer type. Employee name, string type. Salary, float type. Numbers with the decimal point. So we created a class called employee. No methods we defined. Now we are creating an object employee EMP or employee Sunil is equal to new employee. When you say new employee, a new object is being created. Where the object is being created? In the heap memory. So in the JVM, Java runtime environment or Java virtual machine, JRE contains JVM, Java virtual machine. So it has got an architecture. It has got different memory. For example, in our house, we have got different rooms. One is drawing room, bedroom, dining room, kitchen, study room, computer room. So different area. Each area is for one or the other purpose. The same way, in the JVM architecture, it has got different memories. One such memory is called as the heap memory, where all the objects are being placed. So one memory, heap memory. This employee contains what? EMPNO, ename and sal. So when you create an object of employee, so memory is allotted in the heap. It will have 3 locations for storing its employee number, EMP name and salary of this object, new employee. Then what values will be given? By default, each member data will be assigned with its default values. EMPNO is integer type, so what default value will come? 0. Integer is 0 is the default value. EMP name is string type. The default value is null. And salary is float type. The default value is 0.0. So new employee work is over. In the heap memory, one object is created. Second object, another place. So I am an employee. My employee number, my name and my salary is specific to me. Me is nothing but object reference. So new employee, this is happening. And this EMP is the reference. That reference is coming in another space, another room, stack memory. EMP is pointing to this particular location. So this EMP have got EMP-NO, EMP name and SAL. So if you want to access that properties of this EMP using this EMP, object is this, that can be referred with reference with EMP. So we can access it by using EMP dot EMP-NO. EMP dot name, not actually name, EMP dot EMP name, actually it is name, and EMP dot SAL. That's the way we are accessing that. Now we will see this one in a practical way. Hope you are clear with this one. Happy learning.